We find ourselves here on this winding road we all call life with another fellow traveler.
Hello!
Fredster!
Yes! Thank you, Campbell, for having me on. Thank you for having me on, it's a pleasure.
Let's start with a small little introduction of yourself. Well, I kind of already said your name, but let's try to...
Fredster could mean anything. Yes, I am known as Freddie by most people, or Frederick, especially by my mum if she's angry at me. I've had the honour of staying at Wanderlust Hostel with Camel for, 2 months now, approximately. And I've been travelling for about 6 months. So yeah, this is hopefully going to help me think about my journey a lot. And speak to Camel about that, and
I'd say that's like perfect, because my first question is like, what sparked your journey the moment you had to leave something behind or start something new?
So what has marked it specifically? Like a specific moment, or more like a general?
I think first it's like important to do, or not important, but to differentiate between if you had to leave something behind, if it was like you had to let go of something, or if it was more the urge of finding something new that you like and that you want to see and explore. Okay. And then whatever you feel like, man.
100%. Yeah, so for me, the urge to travel has been there for many years, and I've done smaller trips in Europe and around the UK. But this was more of a big adventure and a big commitment, and yeah, life in the UK had been getting me run down emotionally and physically, and this trip, the whole point of this trip was to renew myself and discover new things about myself. Cliche, I know, for a traveller to say, but it's so true, and I'm sure we'll dig into that more. And for me to grow in my social confidence and my emotional stability, I think were the two main things. And I think where I was in my life at home, if I'd stayed and started a career, I think things might have been a bit shaky. And I think traveling now is giving me more of a foundation, a strong foundation. So yeah, it was a nice opportunity, and with my friend as well, Tom, who I travelled with for the first 3 months of my journey, it was an amazing opportunity to spend with him as well.
Nice. And in those 6 months, would you say that you progressed like exponentially, or was it more like in a straight line? Or
I think I would say my growth's been pretty linear, kind of slowly moving up. But for me, in the last since the kind of end of my teenage years, I've felt that I've had lots of quite high highs and then low lows. And what I've really wanted to do with this traveling time specifically is make sure I'm just more stable and constantly improving, rather than having really, really high times and then followed by really, really harsh lows. I want to improve myself to the point where I'm more aware and more able to deal with hard challenges and difficult mental challenges, and looking after myself physically better, and also just getting a better idea about the world, and what I want to do with my spare time, and what I want to do with my employment, which, a lot of it's still up in the air for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. What helped you the most to become more linear in your way of progressing instead of having those high ups and low downs?
So for me, probably two main things. The first one would be cutting down my dependence on substances, and alcohol is probably a huge one. And I'm still not where I'd like to be on that journey, but my use of substances has decreased pretty much to nothing since coming out to New Zealand, and I felt so much better for that, like incredibly better. And alcohol I still use, and still use to excess, but my relationship with it has improved a lot. And what I've learned is that when you're traveling, especially, you don't need those things to have a good time and to make connections.
Absolutely.
And I convinced myself for a long time at home, especially when I was probably in my late teens and early 20s. Very early 20s, I convinced myself that was needed to make those connections and to cure boredom even. And what you discover when you're traveling is there's so much more to life than going out and having drinks. and there's so many hobbies and so many interesting people to connect with that it's just about putting yourself out there. And I think for me the easy path is always to slip back into drinking and substances and stuff like that, and it's short-term fun, but long-term it's a real downward spiral for me. So I want to improve my relationship with that. The second thing I would say to making my kind of growth more linear rather than being on these big ups and downs would just be being more mentally, I'll write it down, hang on. Just, emotional stability and the confidence to enjoy life. So it's reducing anxiety through having the confidence to enjoy small moments. Something that me and Camel have talked about a lot when we were at the cafe yesterday. And those confidence to enjoy and make the most of those small moments and write them down only on my phone in like a little notes app.
Yeah.
Just
that is amazing.
Yeah, just enjoying wholesome small moments throughout the day, not letting your mind kind of get carried away with itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the way you came back yesterday night and were like smiling and were like, I watched the sunset on the mountain. And it's basically so simple to just go up a mountain, watch the sunset, you know? But fuck, it's such a boost of energy. And like you said, it's really going into the small moments and then being able to acknowledge them. And I think it's such a strong move to like, firstly, the people say, when you come to the realization, it's the first step of what no one is telling how hard the next step is after the self-realization, and then to get into doing and then making stuff. That's like really the hard part.
For me, I've known that I need to take these steps for a long time, but as you say, taking the steps is the hardest part. And it can be difficult because if you start making the same mistakes again and again, your self-deprecation, your self-blame increases. And you think, why am I not doing this next step? Why am I not doing it? And it's important that you're first of all not too hard on yourself, because that's just going to send you in a downwards mental spiral. And you secondly identify what you can do to take that next step. So for example, speaking to people in the hostel and other travellers and family and friends about their kind of perspectives is really important, and how they have overcome certain challenges. I've really enjoyed some of my conversations here in Wanderlust specifically, and when I lived in Tokyo for a few months. Enjoyed my conversations with people where we've dug a lot deeper into their life challenges and how they've overcome them. And I think that's a real inspiration to me, because it's very easy to, when you have your personal challenges, to think only I can solve this, you know? And it's true in a way, you need to be the one to take that step, but you can't shut everyone else out. You need to rely on other people's support. I think I've learned that a lot.
Yeah, we are creatures of tribal communities, I would say, and we always have to reconnect. And especially during COVID, it showed me that even though I'm great with myself and I can go alone for some time, I always need to have this reassurance and safety net of people that it can catch
100%, me.
And sometimes it's just not even that they have to catch me, but just that they are there to have this inner security. And same with my channel and my project. Most of it's like not just, of course, I'm like the main force of pushing everything forward, but I get so much input from you, Eduardo, Alex, Nick. Like there's so many great people that I can talk to about it.
Because it's like the pushing the boulder up a hill analogy, okay? And you need to be the one exerting that force, but you can ask people to help you now and again, and there's nothing to be ashamed about that. And as long as you have a clear mental idea of why you're doing it and why it's important to you to take that next step, you will get there. And relying on the support of other people is, I would say, a positive thing, as long as you're not over-relying, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, as much as your family and friends can really help you, you still have to be the one to push that boulder, you know?
I like this analogy. That's really strong.
It's simple, but it makes sense. Like, you can get people to push for parts of the journey, and you can get people to help you, but you can't stop pushing yourself, you know? Because at the end of the day, we all have our own race to run. Now, I would say one of my issues has actually been giving up too much in terms of letting other people run my race and have too much control. I would say I'm a massive people pleaser, especially since my start of my university and the COVID time in 2020 had a weird kind of mental shift on me where I was growing a lot in social confidence, but I wasn't necessarily taking the best actions for myself. I was taking actions to make me appear more outgoing and extroverted, and I was maybe having a lot of fun, but it came back to that I wasn't looking out for myself. I was letting other people push the boulder for me too much and relying on support systems. So I think one of the most positive parts of my travelling journey has been to take back that control. And you know, we still have days where you feel like shit, days where it's mentally challenging, but I feel like I have so much more, I guess, agency over my own life and my own emotions right now. Yeah.
I think it's also really self-empowering when you look back at the time and then you realize I used to need help for all of that shit, and now I'm just confident doing it alone.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It's not that you have to do it alone, but that you are able to do it alone, and that it gives you so much more strength and confidence. And I think it like also helps to build this momentum, as you say. As soon as you really get into going and you handle the first situation or a fuck up at the airport where you like, oh man, am I going to send home? What is going to happen? And eventually, like, you're fine. Everything turns out good. You handled it well, and then you can like take the bus to the hospital.
And when you're in that moment of panic, you think, I'm going to look back at this in 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, and probably actually laugh about some of those moments. And if you're not laughing, you'll think at least, well, I've grown from that. And that was a silly time, that was a silly mistake, or maybe not even a mistake, maybe just like a bad situation. But you're going to think, okay, look at where I've come from there. And it should be positive, you know? Even our most negative experiences in life can be positive, yeah.
And I think that's really what traveling is about. You have this character development through the struggle that you are going through, and a lot of people like it might say it's corny or it's just like cliche that a lot of travelers are finding themselves or are coming closer to find themselves. But I mean, that's what my journey is all about, to find myself, to like evolve from being Carl to becoming Kamal, and to
the wandering life.
The wandering life. And it feels great, you know. By now, I'm really I can say with proud in my proud from my chest that I am Kamal and that I doing my principles and like really pushing through it. And for a lot of people, I think it's the same or similar, that they want to reinvent themselves. They want to they have things that they don't like about themselves, but they're part of me. Yeah, we're constantly changing. You have the power to change your whole belief system. You can really do so much with
things that your core principles can change, and I think that's important. And there's a lot of people who are quite pessimistic about change, and they say, oh, people never really change. You know, your early childhood, the start of your life shapes your whole life. It's a preset thing, and of course, depending on your beliefs, you might believe there is a preset path, but if you're stuck in the mindset of that being a negative downward path, you will never improve your life, you know? You can believe that there are plans for you, but you still have to take the action to make it happen in a positive way, you know? And yeah, like, as I've said to Campbell plenty of times, his journey's really, really inspired me. And he's certainly not the only person who's inspired me to take a bit more action and just grasping the fucking nettle and doing stuff that I wouldn't usually do. And I have so far to go, but I'm very happy with where I've come so far.
I think you're definitely more lively, more outside. In the beginning, we were more in the room and on going for walks, going to the mountain. It's like also so nice to see you smile and like running around because you're such a happy person. I think that's also about like people pleasers as myself, as you. that we are very tuning in for others' emotions, but we're also very aware of our emotions, and then sometimes we're not.
Yeah, and I think if I can just go on a little tangent, I think people please is a difficult word because I don't want to stop pleasing people, you know. Like
absolutely.
I really appreciate what you said about me being a happy presence and stuff, and I want to continue doing that. You know, I'm sure it's the same for you.
Yeah.
But it just means, for me, it just meant I was putting myself second to other people too much, whether that be in relationships or whether that be maybe disagreements with family or friends, you know. And sometimes you have to be a little bit selfish, you know. And so for me, lately, I'm probably an introvert at heart, and sometimes I have to just say no to social interactions, even though I know, I should be going and spending time and connecting. Like I feel a sense of guilt about that, and I kind of worry that other people will be like, like where's Freddie, just being boring, whatever. But no, you have to put yourself first. Take that time to recharge. There are a lot of other situations that can be applied to too. But yeah, I just want to say that about people pleasing.
No, absolutely.
We have a similar dynamic on that. Yeah.
I have the same struggles that others came first and before me, and it took quite a while. I think with 25 or something, I really started to. Now I come first. It's me that I have to take care of, and I have to like really be there for myself.
For sure.
And then the others are coming.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a really fun way to move around, like now with the cakes, with the cappuccino. I'm still pleasing people, but I'm also like cutting such a big slice for myself, you know, like this is for me, and the rest is like you.
And you're so incredibly generous, and I can tell you enjoy doing it as well. And you know, giving stuff, creating stuff, and giving stuff to other people is a source of personal joy as well. You know.
Yeah.
So it's multifaceted in that way. For sure.
I learned yesterday something that is also contributed to my zodiac sign, because me as a Leo, it's like what a lot of Leos have, that they want to shine, but not for this egoistic way, but it is like to have this reassurance I'm doing something right. By being myself, by being authentic, I can please people.
Yeah.
And I get that feedback, and that is like what a Leo is living for. And I was like, well, that is me. Absolutely.
Yeah, it aligns. I think as well, the unfortunate truth is in life there will be maybe 1 out of 100 people you encounter will not like you, or you will have to piss them off to do what's best for you. And I think this idea that we can have this great connection with everyone, it's a bit of a fallacy. I think you should strive to connect positively with as many people as you can, but you also have to accept that sometimes maybe you will clash a bit. And that's another time when you can't just put yourself second. You have to be slightly confrontational. So there might be a minor issue just with someone's behavior. I think the best thing for me that I've learned is to have an honest and open conversation with them straight away about it. And I will do that with my family now, where I never used to. And then I learned to do it with people I don't know as well, and new people and stuff. And I wouldn't still say I hate confrontation. I'm not a confrontational person at all. But I've realised now, if there are issues or difficulties or a clash of personalities, addressing it first is the best way to either heal that relationship or at least to mentally put that issue to bed in your own mind, you know?
Yeah, I think with that you have to be really objective and
For sure.
Like set the boundaries first, and then it happens, then you're like, I don't like that, I think that just stretch my boundary, and then you have to react now. Before, it's like really important in this traveling, in this self-finding journey, to set yourself the boundaries. This is as far as I go, or as far as I'm being letting myself being treated, and then it's fine.
Yeah, and I think it all links. I think like the focus of this conversation that I'm really enjoying is this idea of people pleasing, because I think a lot of people relate to it, right? And I think it comes back to that, and so previously as a people pleaser, I would, even if I had quite a big issue with some behaviour someone was doing, I would either ignore it or leave it to a point where it boiled over into a bigger confrontation. And now I've learned objectivity, the word you use, is a fantastic word. you have to be objective, and you have to maybe have a sleep and then think about, okay, is this an issue? You know, is there a clash? Can I ignore it successfully, or does it have to be nipped in the bud? You know, but I can thankfully say on my journey so far in New Zealand, I would say 99.999% of interactions I've had with everyone have been so positive, so fantastic. There's not even been a time when I have to think about that. But I do think it's worth emphasizing that you have to put yourself first, even if that means the occasional negative interaction, you know?
Yeah, I think it's also like really helping us when we have those occasional negative interactions that afterwards I most of the time felt better because I stood up for myself, which is especially as an introvert and people pleaser, is very hard to do.
Yeah, it's difficult.
I remember it was like ages on some school trip, and the girls would come up to me and were like, "Carl, you have to stop being so nice." I was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. Stop stop excusing
And then people would say to me, like, "Stop apologizing."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Freddie, stop apologizing."
Yes, I'm sorry. And like, stop yes, I know, stop, sorry. Yeah, you so stop. And I think that sums up people pleasing really quite well, because you just can't be bothered with those bad interactions. And then this one moment I still got beat up, but I said no, like, well, not beat up, but I was sitting there and it was some bullshit, I can't remember. I said no, and then I had his fist in my hand, face, and then I was like laying on the ground, and it wasn't like not too bad, but that was the first time where he was like bullying me since four grades, and then it like really escalated. But I think it needed this escalation where like really, like I screamed, I told what I think about him, what he makes me feel, and
because it's a good release, you know. Releasing those emotions that you might have kept inside for too long.
And if I wouldn't have had been slapped by him, I would have never like exploded, I think, and it would have always been more inside me. But this relief after just like screaming all this frustration out, it helped so much. So for you out there, set your boundaries and honestly just.
And you hope that I mean, those occurrences probably are more frequent when you are younger and when you're developing in your teenage years, and etc. And you hope now they don't happen, but sometimes they do, and it is horrible. And especially I think with me and you staying in such a wonderful place like here, we can forget that there are people with negative intentions around. And I think that's going to be a bit of a shock for me going back to Britain whenever I do, and settling down in a city or something. You know, you still meet amazing people, but compared to the kind of open-hearted travellers that we are currently surrounded by, it's a bit of a mindset shift.
True, but then again, I also think that it's like the vibe attracts the tribe.
For sure.
Of course, you can't deal and just like navigate your way around all the assholes throughout your life. But I do think that when you vibrate and resonate on a certain frequency or like positive energy, and I try to radiate and be just positive. And
you do attract better people. And I maybe misphrased that. I'm not suggesting that when you're not traveling, everyone's an asshole. I am merely suggesting
everyone that's not traveling is an asshole.
No, of course not. I'm merely suggesting that I think more social and mental challenges occur in life. I think there are challenges traveling, but in my life experience so far, which is purely what I'm drawing on, it's more challenging to be in one location for a longer period of time.
True. And I think it's like true wisdom and true knowledge when you come and pull it from your self-experience, because then you can like really relate it, and then your words have meaning. Of course, when you are studying, you have a PhD in whatever, and you read thousands of books, of course you have gained a lot of knowledge, but it's like knowledge, not true wisdom. While what you are sharing is your inner wisdom. It's of course based on experiences and knowledge that you collected or gathered, but then because you reflect, and then you can really pull it from your inner experience that this is like true wisdom that you're sharing.
And it's bringing back to the Boulder analogy. You've gone so far up the hill. I've gone 23 years of my hill, and I look back to when I was 19 and I thought I knew everything. I thought I had true wisdom then. No, I didn't. In 4 years' time, when I'm 27, I'll look back on this period right now. I might even rewatch this lovely video, and I'll be like, oh, he doesn't know fucking anything either. But what's great is every period of time we'll continue the analogy, you get further up the hill and you see more, you know? You see a bigger vision. Yeah.
Oh, I like it very much. Oh, this is
I must just say, I don't think I'm the first person to think about pushing a boulder up the hill, but it popped into my head. As a quick side note as well, the phrase, your vibe is your tribe, I love that. I feel like I've learned that off you. I've been using it a lot. So yeah, definitely that should maybe be another tagline for your project. Yeah.
True. One phrase that I have to, or that I want to throw in, and then we have to continue with the second question. The more you know that you know nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, but yeah, it's true. Like the more you know, you just have no more stuff that you have no clue about. You know this one field in physics, and then you realize, there's quantum physics and this physics and this physics. It's like, it's just not done.
And just very quickly before we move on to the next question, something I've learned to do as well is just admit when I don't know about something. So I remember a conversation about transgender rights about a month ago, and it's perfectly okay just to say, I have limited knowledge of this when you're in a conversation, because as a former people pleaser as well, I would want to kind of display to everyone that I have all this knowledge. It's okay in a conversation to just say, actually, I don't know too much about this, I'm going to take a back seat. And that's another way of actually putting yourself first, I believe.
This is really... that is
a round of applause, wow!
Honestly, like, sometimes the genius lies in the simplicity. And what you said, it's so easy to just like... It's not easy to like say, I don't know, I'm not an expert on the field, because I think we tend or bound to like always, I know that as well. I have some experience on that as well. But to like really take a step back and say, I'm not an expert, like please explain. I think sometimes it would be fun, like if you actually are an expert and like, okay, feed me some bullshit, let's see what I can do.
If you're confident in your knowledge, it's great, but I think there are a lot of occasions when people start discussing topics that they have no real idea about, and they are just kind of doing it in a performative way. And I think, it should be more widely spread. People just saying, oh, actually, I'm not too sure about this. I want to learn from you guys and be like actively listening. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. What does freedom or happiness or both means to you right now in this chapter of your life?
The big Q. Okay, the big Q. So, So, freedom for me in this chapter of my life, I would say it means expanding my social horizons and taking control of my emotional stability, which I mentioned earlier. And thirdly, the other thing that I have quickly mentioned in the previous answer was the confidence to enjoy small moments. And all of these three are linked to reducing anxiety that I have struggled with in the past. That's anxiety in social situations, and also anxiety about myself and my life in general, and it's reducing my constant comparisons to other people. Okay, so if I just get those three up again, we talked about emotional stability, we talked about the Boulder analogy, I don't need to say any more about that. Confidence in enjoying small moments, something that Camel has discussed a lot, and I just think that grounds you, you know? It stops you worrying about, am I going to have enough money to do this next month? What's so-and-so going to think about me? If you just stop and say, oh, that's a really nice bench, that's a really well-designed bench, it's in a good place, I'm going to go and sit on that bench for 5 minutes, this is great. And looking at the flowers and the grass and the nature, we're very lucky to be in a place where it's so beautiful, but that is particularly why New Zealand's been good for me, enjoying small moments, There is so much mindfulness and spirituality that Camel knows about that I have not yet engaged with. My mindfulness just comes from very small pieces of breathing and meditation, but also just enjoying small wholesome moments. I list them on my phone as well, which I do think helps. And so I would say freedom for me is mainly in this journey is reducing anxiety. With those three kind of those are that's my big step I want to take, and that's how I will take that step. Yeah.
So by reducing your anxiety, you gain more freedom?
I think so. Yeah, I think so, and I think that makes sense because anxiety holds people back in so many different ways. You know, it's definitely held me back from opportunities, and by reducing my anxiety, I think I will be able to give less fucks and go further. So giving less fucks and going further will hopefully be the outcome.
Question. Is it in the moment still that you try to, well, not beat anxiety, but to get rid of anxiety? Or is it more that you just try to become a more nourished, reflective, living in the moment person?
So I think completely eliminating anxiety is impossible. I think there will always be small pockets of anxiety that develop. Maybe you can get rid of 99% of them, but you can't get rid of all of them. But I think it's important to change what you're anxious about, okay? So you can, you need to realize in your life what you have the ability to change and what will happen regardless of your actions. So for example, we were talking about world news and yesterday, me and Camel, and how it can get you down. And it's a cause for anxiety and concern, but I do not have the agency to change it. So I need to let that go. That needs to be one less anxiety on my mind.
Wisdom, right there.
Something like my physical well-being and, I should go for a run today. That's a piece of anxiety that is actually going to push me in possibly a positive direction to do something positive. Yeah,
Would you call that anxiety?
I would call that, I have anxiety about my health in general because I don't take very good care of myself, and that is like a piece of that. Okay? So that manifests itself, hopefully, in some action. When it doesn't manifest itself in some action, it can start to snowball and become a bigger anxiety. So I think it's worth breaking it down into, first of all, what you can and can't control, and secondly, what can I do today to address that anxiety. And of course, there is bigger picture stuff. So like, social anxiety has been a long journey over time. And I think, the more that people you talk to and the more you push yourself out there, you can naturally reduce that. But I think with other anxieties, they can be broken down, and you can try and think objectively, that word that you use, about, is this something I should be anxious about? Maybe if it is, what can I do to address that? And then thirdly, just at the end of each day, just thinking everything is good in life, I am very blessed, I'm very lucky, having a good rest and resetting, going again the next day.
I think the anxieties that you described truly are anxieties, but in my way of thinking, I don't have these anxieties anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's because I was like, okay, I don't want to have these anxieties anymore, but just because I live by now by different kind of standards that, who said it? Pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice. And I think with anxieties, it is kind of the same, that it's like, sometimes as same as pain is there for a reason to tell you, there's something that is not okay. With pain, something is with your foot or with your leg, like, check it out, you're bleeding, maybe you should stop the bleeding.
As exhibited right here, yeah.
And then the anxiety is more in inner wound, inner pain, that is trying to tell you, okay, you need to change something, you need to do something. But in this modern society, we are more prone to, help, I have this anxiety, I need to do something about it. But then we don't fight, or we go for the problem itself, but we, like with modern medicine, that we just treat the ailment, but not, or the symptoms, but not the root of that is causing those symptoms. And with anxiety, most things can be really done or healed, however you want to describe it, by this positive mindset. Like you said, going for small walks, enjoying the little things, the cappuccino in the morning, the bench that you saw, the bee that is pollinating the one flower that you see, a good track that is just in the moment in your head, whatever it can be. But to have this positive mindset, it is like easier said than done to like just have a positive mindset and you won't have any anxieties. That's not true. But I do think that when you change your perspective on life and like really go into life with curiosity in mind and to not worrying about the when you acknowledge the anxiety and you give them more power, the more you are in those anxieties. So the more you live and try to surround yourself with this happy lifestyle, the anxieties are just constantly pushed back by not, and you don't have to do anything about it. And in the beginning I was worrying a lot about in future how to finance the travels, how to do this. By now, like, it's still not that I have a lot of money. I mean, I'm recording this on my phone and no microphone.
But it's like, you know it's going to be okay.
Exactly.
Like, you know it's going to be okay, and I guess we are probably in quite privileged positions compared to a lot of people in the world to say that it's going to be okay. However, you can only talk about your own situation and context, and yeah, there is stuff that is worth worrying about occasionally day to day, but you can reduce that anxiety with this positive mindset that you talk of. Yeah, so I think what I kind of tried to emphasize at the start of my answer was anxiety can actually be a positive tool. You just have to change your mindset about it. And for example, if you're like falling into a frozen lake from a bridge, if you're struggling, if you're thrashing about, you're going to go down quicker, you know? If you're in that heap of anxiety, if you think objectively and you try and slow down and try and slow your breathing and relax and slowly swim and slowly get to the shore, then you're going to have a better chance. And it's still going to be horrible because you're in the cold lake, but if you slow it down, if you use your positive mindset, as Camille said, then you're going to have a much better chance of, first of all, reducing your short-term anxiety, and then building that up over time, as you said, reducing long-term anxiety.
Thank you, Freddie. We're coming slowly to an end, sadly. But I would like for you to finish the sentence with, "I'll never forget the moment when..." What moment will you never forget?
There's one that came to mind actually that links to you, but I don't know if I can say it on camera.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. So the first day I met Cam, and this is a very silly story, but I was in my bed, Camel comes into his room, and within I think 20 seconds of introduction, maybe 30 or 40, he gets his dick out straight away in the room facing me. I don't know if you remember this. And I was just like, that is a confident man. He was maintaining eye contact with me. He didn't give a fuck. We were having a great convo. I knew I was going to connect with him. I was like, yep, he's a good guy. He doesn't give a fuck. And straight down within a minute or two of meeting. So right now, because I'm with you, that was the moment that came to mind. And I just thought, this guy doesn't care. He's at peace. Get your cock out. That is my lasting message.
Oh, thank you. That's amazing.
It's probably not the profound moment you were looking for, but that is what came to mind.
This is perfect, man. This is perfect. That's why I'm doing this. Oh, beautiful. I don't have anything to add to that. Alright, if you could give one piece of self-advice to someone standing on the brink of change.
One piece of what advice?
Soulful advice, or heartfelt advice, something that you resonate with, that something that helped you and where you think that might be able to help others.
if I was to go for one piece of advice, I would say you regret the things in life you don't do. Yeah, I would say that has particularly resonated with me, and I think you're never gonna feel bad about trying something new and challenging yourself. Because if you fail, who cares? You know, you go back to what you know. What you know is your safe space, your comfort zone, and you're never gonna regret trying to go out of your comfort zone. You know, so I think that if someone was on the brink of maybe starting a new adventure or thinking about a big life change, I would say if it feels right in your gut, if you feel like you should do it, you should do it, because you may look back and regret not taking that step.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. In the end, you're just like a grandpa, and then you think like, should have gone for that adventure, should have done that, should have done that, should have done that. And then you just have your life full of shouldas and couldas instead of, well, I'm broke, but yeah, I'm having the time of my life here. Yeah. And it's really just this, should I go? And I said, yeah, fuck it, I'll go. Same with you, like there's so many great people that like took the leap and were rewarded with a great time and great people that we meet along the way.
100%.
Thank you. That is a beautiful advice. I added something, but I think that is fine. And we're closing on the 40 minutes. I think I'll try to take it on because I just enjoyed talking so much. But then again, I don't want to get over the 50 minutes because as soon as I hit, I think the 50-minute mark, the people are like, love me, take it away.
No, well, it's been a pleasure. It's been a really interesting chat, and I'm glad we had the opportunity to sit down and do this. And thank you so much for having me, man.
Thank
you so much for having me.
All right. Before, let me have one last look in my interview flow chart. Is there anything you want to add, to share from your heart to the listeners before we close the interview?
From my heart, apart from get your cock out when you want, maybe not in public spaces though. No, from my heart, I would just say stop giving a shit about what people think of you. That's not an excuse to be a terrible person, but follow your own road, follow what feels right to you, try new things, and stop giving a shit about what people think of you. Because they're probably not thinking about you as much as you think. You are probably taking up 0.1% of their headspace. Okay, you need to live in your own life, your own adventure.
Beautiful. I added this last time, I'm not sure if I will keep with it, but if this touched you, consider subscribing and sharing with someone who might enjoy this as well. I think this is like too common. I think I'll just leave it. If they want to share it or follow them, then just leave it. Okay, forget that I said that. Stay curious, stay grounded, and stay true to who you are.
That was good. No, I really enjoyed that.
Yes.